how to live life.
確かにその昔そういう以前にはバイオレンスもと今回一時はオーディションとか暴力が中心。ただ暴力そのものっていうわけじゃなくて、暴力を中心にしか生きていけないっていう人間を登場人物にいるので、結果的に暴力的な映画になるんですが、それは自分が監督として暴力を描きたいと思って彼らを描いて、彼らの登場人物のファンになって描いていると、結果的にその生まれてくるのがバイオレンス映画というふうにカテゴリーというか、そういうふうにジャンル分けされるという、そういう作品は、確かにかつては多かったし、またこれからも作っていくかもわからないんだけど、ただ今作っているのは日曜日の朝やっぱり女の子向けのテレビドラマ、全く暴力はダメだよっていうテレビドラマを作っている。それも自分にとっては嘘をついているわけじゃない。自分の中でそういう願いもあります。
And also to continue the first question, so from a long time ago, there has been patterns of violence in the movies, and of course everyone mentions Audition. And from the point of view of being a director, we made a film, and the fans were the ones that received it as its violence. And it must also be noted that this is not all the types of movies that I make. As a very modern example, at the moment, on Japanese Sunday mornings on TV, I have a drama which is aimed at young girls between 3 and 6, and of course there is absolutely no violence. So within me as a director, it's not only that there is violence in my work.
Yeah, obviously we are aware that you make films for children, and you make character-driven dramas, and you do thrillers that are not so violent. But the world seems to embrace the films that are violent and have a certain stylized way of looking at these human, the ugly side of human beings and society's underbelly. One question that I have in my mind is, how different is the violence in your films from the violence that we see in the superhero films that come out from Hollywood? Do you make a distinction between the two kinds of violence that we see on the big screen?
自分は確かにハリウッド的なそのスーパーヒーローの中に逆に言うとバイオレンスを感じます。その一人のヒーローを作り上げるために、彼を強い人間だと見せるためだけに周りの人間たちがバラバラ意味もなく死んでいって何も知らないやつらがバラバラ倒れていくっていう、それはもう映画なんだから、スターのために周りの俳優たちはそういう役割人生を送るんだっていう、そこがちょっと自分の中では違和感があって、せっかく現場に来たんだから殴られて終わりっていうだけじゃなくて、もっとその人も役者になったので立ち上がって殴り返すっていうと、結果的に、とんでもない殴り合いになっちゃって血もたくさん流れ 愛情をかける、自分がその人に今晩役者になってよかったなと思う瞬間を作るために愛情を持つと、結果的にバイオレンスなシーンが出来上がってくるっていう、それはなんか愛情とバイオレンスの、一つの関係を示すのかなと思います。
So, regarding the typical Hollywood hero types of movies, they are generally violence displayed for the purpose of the hero. They are in effect made for the star, and many people are killed, and usually unknown number of many. But as far as Miike-san's movies are concerned, we come to see the hero in a way that he's constantly battling. He's maybe knocked down, but he's getting up again, and we can see his pain and his blood come out. And within all this, we can see that there is love, and this allows us to show the connection of love and violence within the single environment.
In recent years, you have adapted a lot of manga for the big screen. Could you please tell us what manga books mean to you? I mean, did you grow up on a staple of these manga books in Japan? And have things changed for young people in Japan today in terms of how much manga they consume?
僕たちの時代、漫画っていうのは確かにすごい進化をして、で、ただ僕らの子供の時代っていうのは、皆同じ漫画を読んでいた。子供たちは同じ漫画に熱狂した。今は、たくさんのジャンルのいろんな漫画があって、子供たちの中で、好きな漫画がそれぞれバラバラにあってっていう、それによって多分子どもたちも何か主張していると思うんです。僕はこういうのが好き、こういうのが好き、そういう何か、大きな、そこが一番大きな変化です。まあでも、日本人って漫画を楽しむのが好きですし、作るのも好きですし、優秀なその作家たちがたくさんいると。
So for me, yes, I did grow up with manga, and all of us did, and our generation, all the children were all reading the same manga. In effect, we all knew and familiar with what was happening at the time. But with the current generation now, there are many different types of genres of manga, and all the young people and children all love different types of manga. So that's a big change, that everyone's looking at and enjoying different types of things. And Japanese people generally do indeed enjoy manga, both young and old. And not only just reading and enjoying them, but also making them. A great many people also work on different types of manga.
You learned the basics of filmmaking, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, under Shohei Imamura. And Shohei Imamura in turn started under Yasujiro Ozu. And under Ozu. Shohei Imamura started under Ozu. Imamura moved away from Ozu quite a bit, obviously. So have you also moved away from Imamura, or does he have did he influence your work, at least in the early years of your career?
今村翔平っていうのを今、もうこの世にいない大先輩で、自分が助監督としてアシスタントディレクターについた、最も刺激的な強い個性を持った作品で、出来上がった作品も素晴らしいものが多い監督です。で今村さんっていうのは何か人に映画とはこうあった方がいいとかこうやって生きた方がいいっていうことは一切言わなくて、自分の撮りたいもののためのに働く、要は命をかけてその時間を全て今村翔平の映画に、こう捧げるという、そういうタイプの人で、教育者ではなくて映画を作る本当に怪物というかエゴイストな素晴らしい。自分が唯一教えてもらったのは、それは自分が勝手に感じ取ったわけだけど、今村翔平的な今村翔平が撮っているような映画は今村翔平にしか撮れないと。いくら憧れたり真似しようと思ってもそれはもう偽物なんだと。ただどんな人間にだってその人にしか撮れない作品がある。だから、自分のやれるものを自分のやり方で作ればいいんだということを教わりました。
So, without a doubt, Shohei Imamura-san was a great director, and he was a senpai, a mentor to me. And he was a man with a very large character, as well as being a great director. He made movies in his own image, in his own life, in his own time. And he was a superb man with a very large character and a large ego, and he made movies from his feeling of what he thought should be. And it should definitely be said that a movie by him could only ever be made by him. It's just simply not possible to try and copy it or emulate it. And from this we can learn that, or Miike-san can learn, the lesson is to make movies as you would make them yourself.
But did he ever discuss Ozu with you? I mean, obviously, he started as an assistant to Ozu, Yasujiro Ozu, and did he ever discuss Ozu's style with you and other people that he worked with, and what do you remember from those days?
Ozuさんというのは今村翔平よりもさらにその前の時代の巨匠で、今でもその、映画を研究する、日本映画を研究するとすれば大津安二郎というのは外せない非常に重要な、黒澤明と同じぐらい重要なポジションにいる大物なんで、では彼らはメインストリームにいたんですよね。で今村翔平と自分が少し似ているのはそのメインストリームからちょっと外れたところにアウトサイダー、映画の中心ではなくて外側にゲリラ的に映画を作っていくっていうその自分たちのやり方で作っていくっていうことで、要は、あとは作品を見て学ぶしかないですよ。
So yes, we did of course discuss from time to time, but Ozu-san was from a previous generation and played a very important role in the evolution of movies, and so there was a lot to study and learn. With that said, it should be noted that he was much more of a mainstream movie maker, whereas we made the effort to leave the mainstream and go slightly outside of the mainstream type of movie making and to create our own style. With that said, definitely there is a lot to learn by watching him.
Yeah, so coming back to First Love, I mean, I could see like 3 or 4 acts in the film. Like it opens with a certain pace when we are, first being introduced to the boxer and his life, and then all the multiplicity of characters come in the second act, and then there's a different kind of pace, and then it ends in this explosion of violence, which is the third act, which is probably the most exciting act in the film. And then again, in the end, and all that is done, it settles into another, like there's a peaceful conclusion that happens. So what's that? I mean, how was that developed? I mean, would you like to talk about the different acts that you have in that film, in this film? It has a whole mixture of styles.
オリジナル完全にずっと、今までやってきた一緒にやってきた脚本家中村というのがいて、彼にそういう、ヤクザが生み出したラブストーリーって作れないのかっていう挙句で生まれてきて、作品はそれぞれの登場人物たちの状況、置かれている状況から入っていって一つすれ違うっていう全然それとボクサーと違う物語があって、それが、歌舞伎町っていう一つの町の一つの路地ですれ違ったことから物語が全然物語の方向に進んでいくっていう、それはその物語のこう作る構造、仕掛け、物語の構造上そういうふうにペースが変わっていくっていうのは必然的にそうなっていったことですよ。
So this was an original idea that we worked on together with a scriptwriter that I've worked with for a long time, Nakamura-san, who's worked on especially many Yakuza-related movies. And regarding the situation, we wanted it to be to have many different types of pace, such as that with the boxer with the start, and then the tail of the area of Kabukicho, which is a part of Tokyo. It also was deliberately introduced to have a different type of pace.
And how important is the scripting process for you? I mean, is it, or do you also improvise when you go on the set and start shooting? I mean, or is everything sort of cast in stone before the shooting starts?
自由にやれる場所は提供していきますけど、脚本を加速する、壊していくんじゃなくて、より力強く加速させていくっていう作業は毎日毎カット全部テストやって本番はまた変わってくるので、結果的に、台本っていうのはそのお芝居をするためにカメラがあって現場があって役者たちが集まるっていうための道具で集まった上、それをやりながらどんどん変化していく、よりエネルギーを足していくっていう、その結果台本とは変わってしまったシーンもありますけど、目的は同じです。
So yes, certainly actors and staff do have certain degrees of freedom with their plays, but they cannot change things in an overly powerful way. We have many things in place, the script, the camera, the staff. However, when everything is there, the energy, of course, will change somewhat. So that is allowed. However, the main objective remains the same.
So when you, in 2017, when Blade of the Immortal came out, I mean, it was announced in the media that this was his 100th film. And do you actually keep count of the number of films you make?
So it's not, I don't keep count, but in from the perspective of Indian directors, that's kind of a normal number, but in Japan it's a bit rarer.
それぐらいやっぱりエネルギーがやっぱすごく感じるし、
So you can definitely feel that kind of energy.
とても日本映画で真似できない。
But it just simply can't happen in Japan.
ただたくさん撮るからいいっていうふうにも思わなくて、結果的にたまたまそうなったっていう、ローバジェットのものをたくさん撮り続けてきたし、もともと助監督だったので、もっと前は他の監督のために、自分のためにではなくて他の監督のために映画に関わってものすごく忙しくやってたので、自分の中で回るフィルムの速度っていうのはそういう頃に決まると思うんです。だから今は決して結果的にはそういう風になって、幸いいろいろ仕事がもらえたのでそうなったっていうだけのことで、そこに自分は目標はそんなたくさん取ろうとも思って、どっちかというと怠け者なので、何もしないでいる時間があるのが幸せなんだけど、そうはならなかったっていう。
So yes, it was never my objective to start out and make so many movies. I'm not lazy, but at the same time, it's happy to have some free time. So it was not really, the beginning was not really the aim to make so many movies. However, the circumstances earlier on were that there were many low-budget movies, and also I was working with and behalf on other directors, and that is how this happened. So, but it was not my aim.
First decade or so of your career, he made his first film in 1990 or 91. He wasn't known outside, you were not known outside Japan. And then Audition came in 2000, and then Ichi the Killer in 2001, which is when I first saw a film of yours. And then globally you became a sort of absolutely a known name and a cult figure who, is as big a cult as as anyone else in the world. In fact, I sometimes say that he, he's not the Quentin Tarantino of Japan, but Quentin Tarantino is the Takashi Miike of the US. So this move from being known only in Japan and then becoming a global force, did that change your style as a filmmaker?
変わらないけど、ただすごく楽しかった。その日本のビデオレンタルのお店の隙間、棚を埋めるもの、目的はそこで、その場に自由に作っていたものを映画祭というものが、これは映画だと認めてくれて、日本じゃそれは映画でも何でもないんでね、類シネマ、ビデオだっていう、それが海外の映画祭の人たちからすると、そういうジャンル関係ないんです。これは面白いなっていう、それで上映してもらって、ビデオ屋の棚を埋めるためのものが海外のお客さんの目に届くっていう体験っていうのは非常に自分にとって貴重だから、それを体験してるから、そこに行くために何かを作るよりも、自分の今目の前にあるものを自分なりに一生懸命楽しんで作っていると、またそれが世界の誰かが見てくれるかもしれないっていう、非常に、映画祭によってものすごい特殊な体験をさせてもらった監督だと思います。普通はみんな努力するじゃないですか。で、海外でこうやってオーディション何度もエントリーして、でダメで、やっぱり海外にはこんな風にやった方がみんな見てくれるんじゃないのかっていうことで作られていくんだけど、自分は全くそういうことじゃなく、ってその映画祭でみんなと一緒に見ているその体験がものすごく不思議なので、映画ってそういう力があるんだなっていうのを教えてくれたので、それはあなたが変わっても無駄ですよ。あなたにできるのはあなたの映画ですだけですよ。もし面白いのはまた誰かが見てくれるんですよっていうのを教えてもらった。
So to answer the question, which was, did you change your style? In a word, no. The movie making has always been fun. This video rental, this V-cinema is kind of unique to Japan at that time. And the movies were not really made with the intention of being shown to an international audience. And this allowed me the freedom to experiment with what was in front of my eyes for what I wanted to make. And that was not for the purposes of film festivals and international viewers. But if they were to watch that and pass on by word of mouth the names of movies to their friends, then of course that would be something that would make me very happy. But yes, mainly it was made by me for who I am.
So you're in 2010, I think 13 Assassins went to Venice and competed. The next year it was, I think, Harakiri, Death of the Samurai, competed in Cannes. In Cannes you also had Shields, Straw Shield, Moderator. This year he had First Love in Director's Fortnight. So do the international critics, particularly the European and American ones, get his cinema, and do they react in the same manner as viewers in Japan do, or in the rest of the world do? Harakiri, Death of the Samurai, was in Cannes.
基本的には同じなんです。タイミングとしては映画が流れる時間と何かそのお客さんが楽しんでもらえるっていうタイミングは同じなんですよ。映画の時間の中のタイミングでもその中身は多分全然違うんだろうなと。それは当然、文化も違うので、そのどれほど深く理解してもらっているのかと、逆に言うと僕らが思いもしていないものが逆にそこにヨーロッパの人だったらヨーロッパの人が見つけてくれたりっていう、そういう全てが監督が映画をコントロールできるわけじゃなくて、監督が思っていない思いもよらないところで違う文化の人たちから見ると見るべき点が生まれてくるっていう、それは人間でも一緒です。つまらない人間だと思われてても誰かからすると非常に必要な人間であったりとか面白い部分があったりとかっていう、そういう発見されるものっていうのが映画だと思います。
So on a basic level, yes, the same, particularly regarding the timing within the running of a movie and the events that happen within it is the same. But the content of what they react upon could be different. This is because of the culture, the differences in culture and understanding of various things. And the things that certain people overseas might find as interesting at a particular point would be different. And although the director makes the movie, just like in life where people have their own experiences which affect their perceptions of things, it would mean that they'd have a different understanding from the people within Japan, for example.
Since you are such a prolific filmmaker, I mean, do you get any time at all to watch films by other filmmakers? And do you have any contemporary filmmakers you like to watch personally?
映画を作るほど見ることは好きではない。ずっと作り続けて、で見るとどんな映画でも結構感動しちゃう。好 すごいなと、ここすごいなって。ただそんなに見てる時間があったら撮らなきゃなとか、次のこといろいろやったりっていうのがもう子供の頃からそうですよね。多分世界中の映画監督で一番見た映画が少ないのでいくと、俺世界一のチャンピオンだと、そこだけは自信がある。自慢にはならないけど。でも好きな映画一個あるでしょ。そればっかり見に行って。あの映画ってどんな場にあるんだろうじゃなくて、好きな映画ばっかり。
So, as I spend a lot of my time making movies, maybe it's slightly surprising, but actually watching movies is something that I don't particularly like to do. But whatever movie I do watch, I get very strongly impressed and I feel emotional about the different parts in it that I want to watch. But mainly it's due to my busy schedule, which you know about. I can't really take time off for watching. And this has been the same since childhood. But if there is something I like, then I'll probably just fixate on watching that again and again, as opposed to many types of movies.
Before I throw it open to the audience, there's one last question. Is this your first time in India? And if yes, what are your first impressions?
いや、2回目、実は昔映画の撮影で、インドに1週間ぐらい非常に少人数でカメラマンと自分と俳優とあとはそれをフォローする3人か4人役者も入れて10人未満のローバジェットでも映画で車でずっと旅をしたことがある。
Actually, this is not my first time in India, this is my second time, and the first one was actually for a movie shooting. And I was here for about a week, and it was a very small crew. It was just a cameraman, and actors, and myself, and altogether about 10 people. And mostly we were in the car. It was a very low budget movie.
その時やっぱり衝撃を受けたのは、この乗ってる車、これバックミラーついてないじゃん。バックミラーこっちがものすごいでもね、カオスだよね。牛もいます、人力車もいます、車がすごい勢いでうわーっていうなんか、でもなんかね楽しかった。すごいうわーってすごいエネルギーだっていう感じて、我々も何かそのタフにやれた仕事ができたと思うんでは。
So I remember being very surprised that in the car they didn't have a rear view mirror. And ultimately my impressions on the road was just it was chaos. With the rickshaws and so many people everywhere and cows. But it was a lot of fun, and it was really amazing energy that I felt from my experience.
So was this film for the big screen or was it for video? I mean, was it direct to video?
映画です。日本ではきちんと全国公開した映画で、双子の話で、 は日本で、トラブルに巻き込まれて、双子のうちの一人は、インドを旅してっていう、そういう似た同じ顔をした一人の役者がやってるんだけど、似た顔をしてるけど性格が違う人間が同じ地球の上で別々の生き方をしていくっていう、そういう作品があって、違う一人の違うもう一人の絵に二役してをやってるわけ。
So it was from a movie in Japan, and it was two simultaneous stories of a person with a very similar type of face and different lives, one over here and one over there.
So, I mean, questions from the audience now? Anybody? One question.
Good evening, sir. I had a question about the action sequences in your movie. For example, we'll take the movie Moderator model. In the climax, there is a long action sequence. So my question is, like, while writing the screenplay, do you or your screenwriter write in detail about these action sequences, or do you incorporate them after you have a discussion? You had a discussion with your action choreographer.
Talking about the latest film, the one,
No,
first one.
Moderator model.
Oh.
Moderator model.
Okay.
Can I ask you to confirm the final part of your question? Can you repeat the final part?
He said, does he, is it in the screenplay, or does it evolve when they're shooting in, the action, the way the action is broken down?
Right. ああいう立ち回りがたくさんあるときは、スタッフにこういうものが必要だとかこうしたいっていう、それは台本だけではとても見えてこないので、それぞれの武器とか動きとかっていうの、それは基本的にはね、絵コンテ、わかりますか？コンテ、絵に起こす、このカットとこのカット、このカットっていう。で、一緒にずっと描いてくれる絵を描く専門の人間がいて、明日やるシーンをぐわーって描いたりとかやってコントロールしています。だから台本にはあんなことを書けないね。ものすごい戦うっていうふうに書いてあるだけ、激しい戦いっていう一行にしてもらって、あとはそれがどんな戦いかっていうのは作っていきます。こちらで。
So when you have a sequence like this with such a magnitude of so many people, and it's not so much that it's written in the script or in the screenplay, it's more about creating a picture form or a diagram, one could say. So for any particular day's shooting of a scene like that, at the end of the day they would prepare the next day's format for how people would stand for that scene. So this is something that you can't actually write a scene in a script-like format.
Yeah.
Hi sir, my name is Chilaksha. I'm an actor and anchor based out of Bombay. I'm such a huge fan. 13 Assassins is one of the most impactful and one of the most moving films that I've seen. My question to you is, as we know in the world of filmmaking, they say that there are only 6 to 12 stories in totality. And that we've seen it before, that it has been done before. So how do you keep fresh in the face of this idea? And what do you do to keep it original? Do you subvert the process? How do you keep fresh is what my question is to the legendary director. Thank you.
撮ることに、映画を作ることに、それは当然映画監督にとってすごく大事な時間なわけです。慎重に考えていろいろきっちりやっていく。その結果やっぱり撮るまでに時間がかかったり、または考えすぎて理想と現実が違ってしまって、それであればこの映画は撮らないとかっていう、結果として撮らないという選択をするっていう監督って多いと思うんですよ。撮れないで撮らない、思い通りにやれる予算と時間がないんだったら撮らない、やらないという。自分の場合はその状況に合わせてやっていくと何が出来上がるのかっていうのを楽しんでいく。信じられないような予算とか時間がないっていう中で何ができて、だからこそできるシーンがあるんじゃないかっていうふうに考えているっていう、その違いだけだと思うんですけどね。要は昔は、いや君そんなにガツガツ撮ってると日本でいうと枯れる才能が枯渇する、枯れてしまうよって言われたんだけど、自分は全くそうは思わないですね。やればやるほど鋭くなってくるんじゃないかっていうふうに思います。
So for directors in movies, they spend a lot of time, and that means a lot of time, looking very much in detail at the entire movie, and they can think about what works between theory and practice, and sometimes they don't choose to do a particular scene or a piece because of time or money. But doing the things that might be seen as unbelievable, for him is indeed the fun part, and that's what he focuses on since a long time ago. That's always been the way.
Got your answer?
Hello. Yeah, hi. This is Kishore from Pune. My question is, what is important for you as a filmmaker? Script, actor, or a plot for your movie? So these are the things are main part of the filmmaking. So what is the importance of your part of the filmmaking?
すごくありきたりなことになってしまうんだけど、ともかく台本は大事ですよ。要はそれを中心に何もないところに台本だけがあって、そこに集まってくるっていう、そもそものきっかけと最後まで映画に影響する、それを面白いものにしようとするっていう点ではやっぱり台本っていうのは非常に大事なものだと。大事なものなんだけど宝物ではない。それをあまり守りすぎると、それをやっぱり疑う必要もあるし、その本を作ることを撮影していくことによってある俳優の個性がそのキャラクターを全く変えてしまうこともあるし、いろんな事件が起こるわけです。その事件を作品に押し込めていく、中に記録していくっていう、そういう作業だと思う。でも出発点として脚本というのは本当に大事だと思います。
So certainly the script is extremely important, because without it one cannot even commence and begin. So we cannot reiterate enough that just how important it is. Having said that, it's also something that should not be overly protected, because there's still the characters and the idiosyncrasies of the actors and actresses, and we need to put that within the work. But if I was to answer your question very simply, I would say the script.
First you and then person behind you.
Okay, I'll start with just asking, you're coming from Japan as a traditional society, and your films fundamentally unsettling some Japanese values, especially Takashi, and it has kind of the pompous samurai traditions and its core value costume most of the time. It is totally unsettling for the traditional Japanese society and its values. And how far you face the resistance from your society, and how far it affects your creativity, if it is anyway affected.
One, the thing comes from the British time, where those films sort of face any resistance from the conservative segments of it.
そうですね。確かに、保守的というか、まああんまり、目立たず個性を日本のことわざで出る釘は打たれるってあるでしょ。それは非常に日本的だな。目立っているものは叩かれる、そういう意識は確かにあると思います。ただ映画業界がそういう人たちが多いので、逆に言うと、サブカルチャーが生まれる可能性があるとか、カウンターカルチャーですよね。で、自分はやっぱりそういうそっち方面なんだ、保守的にやっている。かつては会社員、映画会社の会社員が映画を作っていた。映画っていうのはエリートが作るものだ、ちゃんと勉強してきた人間たちが作るものだというふうに安心していて、それがずっと続くものだと思っていた。その映画業界の人たちの保守的な油断が自分に映画を作るチャンスをくれた。カウンターカルチャーが生まれてくると、そういう意味では非常に活用すべき点はあると思います。
So in answer to your question, yes, I would say so. Japan is a very conservative and traditional society, and there is a very famous expression that could sum up a very important piece of knowledge about Japanese society. The protruding nail will be hammered down, so the society itself will push back. And this is especially prevalent within the movie industry, as it is quite conservative. However, in response to this pushing down and the conservatism, this therefore leads to the emergence of a subculture which pushes back against that level of conservatism. So yes, there are the movie makers that do it the very traditional way, studying and making movies for the elite. But the very action of having that conservative type of movie making leads to the activity of movies such as his, the activity of the emergence of movies such as his.
Yeah, please. Yeah. Take a mic.
Good evening, sir. Okay, this is a two-part question. Okay, the first one is what Mr. Miike's take on the difference between a director writing his own material versus he's adapting someone else's screenplay. And the next part is when Mr. Miike working on someone else's screenplay, how much he's involved in the writing process. Thank you.
Next question.
Could you repeat the second question?
This is it's a screenplay or someone else that is working on.
So the first question was experience versus directing material versus someone else's screenplay.
Yeah.
And the second one?
And when someone else's screenplay, he can also get involved in the writing process. That's all you are.
まずすごい才能を持った脚本家と出会うことをいつも期待はしています。要は映画を作る上でかなり比重の大きい部分をクリアしてくれるものすごい才能の持ち主っていうのをいてほしいと願う気持ちがやっぱりいつも脚本家を探す、理由ですよ。なかなかでもそういう人は現れないんだけど、多くの監督やプロデューサーはその脚本家の書いてきたものの欠点を見ることはできるんだけど、いいところを見ることがなかなかできないですよ。いいポイントを見つけられない。欠点は分かりやすい。それは逆に言うと観客と同じことなんです。観客もその作品の本当の隠れた良さっていうのを見つける前に欠点が気になってしまう。この話変だな。でもそれは本当にその天才的な人間っていうのはやっぱり存在しないわけじゃなくていると思うんです。それと出会いたいなというのはありますが、でも結局はその本をきっかけにまた我々が映像化するときに書き直していくわけですよ。活字で書き直すんじゃなくて役者が音に今度変えていくわけでしょ、セリフを。その時にその音の響きを我々が脚本を変えるようにその響きを変えていく、そういう関係です。ただまあ今回のファーストラブとかは、台本の3分の1ぐらいは自分でちょっと活字で書き直しているっていう、自分で直しているっていう部分もある。ただやっぱり本当にすごい脚本家がいてどっかでいつか出会うっていう、まあもちろん今までの脚本家もすごいんですよ。いいところがいっぱいあるんだけど、圧倒的にすごいものを書くやつっていうのが現れるっていうのを監督っていうのはやっぱ期待するもんだと思います。
So it must be said that for them working with someone else's screenplay, there's often the parts they don't actually, the script writer doesn't actually want to make any big changes, and it is by the big producers and directors that look at the good parts and see whether or not this can be actually made. And then there's also the question of looking at it from the point of view of the audience and the budget and whether it would come out looking good or not. And sometimes you can influence the scriptwriter to change or perhaps pull them in the direction of changing them, but so these people do exist, but it is it's often the case that it's difficult to change. So for my own part, about a third of the scripts that I work with, I put some change into them myself, and it's part of being a director that we always very much look forward to having great scripts to work.
Yeah, I was wondering, because oftentimes there's a lot of humor in the scenes of films by Mr. Miike that are where the scene is really full of tension. I was wondering how he keeps the suspense even though all of the audience is laughing. Yeah, there's a lot of humor in those scenes, and that's also what we really appreciate about it.
あまり自分で意識してるわけではないんだけど、何か、真面目なセリフを言ってるとどっか滑稽に見えてきたりとか、何か、なんだろうな、例えばヤクザっていうのはただ怖いばっかりじゃなくて、やっぱ面白い笑える瞬間はあるわけで、そのお葬式、誰かが亡くなって大事なお友達が亡くなって悲しみのどん底でも何か一つタイミングが来るとみんな何か笑っちゃいけないんだけどおかしなことが起こったりっていうの非常にリアル、現実はどっちかっていうとそうですよね。でも映画っていうのは悲しいシーンになるとずっと悲しくて音楽も悲しい音楽でそれを、ね、一色で塗り込めなきゃいけない。どうもそこになんか自分はちょっと違和感を感じている。ただ、そういうふうにいろんなものを混ぜようっていう意識ではなくて自然になっている。ただリアルはそういうことなんだと思います。
So I don't actually put too much of an effort of awareness into actually doing that. And we should realize also that, it's not just the case that Yakuza, for example, are just scary. There's also things we can laugh at them about, and events such as funerals, whilst they are sad, at certain points within it, there might be something that would produce a different type of emotion, such as humor. So these types of things happen in real life. They're naturally occurring anyway. So we just put that in.
多分こういう経験されたことがあると思うんだけど、ある悲しい映画を見ていて、誰かがセリフを言う、誰かが悲しそうな顔をする、あ、ここで音楽が、悲しい音楽が入るなって思った瞬間に本当に入ってくると、なんかおかしいでしょ、吹き出しちゃうでしょ、思った通りだよってなんかそういう滑稽さがなんか映画にはあるんですよね。なんかそれが自分ではなんかすごく気持ち悪い。普通ここでそういう音楽入るよねっていうところで音楽家がつけてくると、いやここはやめとこうっていう風になっちゃう。
And so at certain points of a movie there may be a very sad situation where someone's having a very sad face, and putting in sad music at that point, it can be done, but also it might not be the way to do it.
Yeah.
Takashi-san?
I'll ask a question in the meantime. Continue.
So,
Is it working?
Hello, sir. I'm Rayan from Tamil Nadu. I have two questions for you.
Two. Okay.
Yeah, two. The first one is, what do you think about the latest ongoing mangas and animes like Dragon Ball Z? And have you ever thought of adapting any of those novels into your films as a film or as a web series? And the second question I have is that, what do you think about the planned remake of the film Akira, animated classic of the 1980s, by the means of Hollywood?
Akira.
Yeah, Akira.
一つ目の質問は、その漫画面白いものっていう、その面白いから映画化したいっていうふうにはあまり思わないですね。そのただ面白いを通り越してその作品のファンになる、愛情を持ったら映画に作ってみたいっていうのは本当の面白いし、今ヒットしようしそうみんなしているので、みんな見てるので、これがを映画にすると映画もヒットする、だから好きっていうことではやっぱり映画にしてはいけないと、本当のファンにリスペクトできる、サッカーも含めてっていうのが必要だと思うので、そういう作品ができてくれば、ぜひ映画化したいとは思います。で2つ目は「アキラ」っていうもう随分前に書かれた原作漫画が、アニメーションでもあるんですけど、それがずっと長い間ハリウッドでリメイクされるとかっていう話がありながら繰り返し、立ち消えになって、また今いよいよやるんじゃないかっていう、それは個人的にはすごい楽しみにはしてますけど、アキラのやっぱり大友さんっていう作家が書いてる、それのファンでもあるので、見てみたいのと見たくないの両方があります。でじゃあお前が作るかっていうと、とてもじゃないけど、あまりにファンすぎてそれは触れないって複雑なところで。
So for the first question with current modern animes such as Dragon Ball, if it's something interesting, then I might wish to do it, but I think it would be necessary for me to be a big fan of it in order to do it. As far as the animation of Akira, I've always respected it. And the fact that it's going to be repeated is something I'm very much looking forward to. And I'm a huge fan of the original writer, so I do want to see it. At the same time, maybe I feel it shouldn't be messed with.
きっと失敗するよね、その映画っていう気がしませんか？
Yeah, it's a big worry about this movie.
Yeah, you had a question.
Good evening. It's an honor to speak with you. I noticed that in many of your films there's the idea of family, and the main characters have to face the value of the family, blood tied or without blood ties. What's your idea and what's your relationship with the value of family? I want to ask you this.
まあ誰にとっても家族って、大切で、ただ自分の場合は、随分その一緒に過ごす時間って少なくて、逆に言うと家族の中で父親として父親らしくいられる方法、唯一の方法はやっぱり映画を作って子供たちが見て、あ、面白かったっていう、どっかで映画監督と観客っていう関係っていうのもすごく大事で、逆にそれがまた自分の映画を作るモチベーションにもなっているっていうところが自分の、家族っていう、子供たち、特に子供たちに何も教えてあげることができなかったし、ダメな父親ではあるんだけど、でも唯一その監督でいて面白いものが、彼らが面白いと思えるものを作るっていうのは唯一自分にとって父親としての救いというか、そのできることだというふうに思っています。
So for everyone, family is always important. With mine, the amount of time that I've had to spend with them, given my various commitments, is quite small. And we do watch. So as a parent watching with kids, it does affect me, and it does motivate me. Thinking about how they would see the movies, and also from their point of view, and also from the audience.
だから3人子供いるんだけど、1人ぐらいは父親の仕事、映画の仕事に興味を示して俺もやってみるって言い出すかなって思ったんだけど、1人もいないね。もう全然映画は好きで見るけど、映画監督になろうとは誰も思わない。子供たちが俺のことをどう見てるのか、それでよく分かると。
And out of my 3 children, not one of them is interested in going into the movie industry, and especially not being a director.
一番上の息子は、バイクとかスズキ車のメーカーに勤めてて、たまにバイクの工場にこっちでインドに出張してきてます。
My eldest, my eldest actually works for Suzuki and is a big bike fan, and comes to India.
バイク工場は自分が設計したバイクの管理をしにたまに来て。
Okay, so then comes to India on behalf of the bike.
だから日本映画も大事にしてもらいたいですけど、鈴木もよろしくお願いしますね。
So, as well as the movie industry, he also wishes to give his regards to Suzuki.
We have time for 2 more questions, one from here, one from there, and then that's too many. There's a question here. We'll come to you. You can go ahead. And you can use your voice too.
Okay.
Not very far from us.
About unfinished works, have you started any film that's not finished up to now? And also, if you're given a chance to work on a particular genre, would you want to do it, and with a particular actor that you wanted to work with?
今いろいろその中国であったり、ロサンゼルス、アメリカであったりとか、 スタッフとその海外の人たちとうまく組んで、また僕らが今までのまんまじゃ作れないようなものっていうのができるっていうことができればいいなとは思ってます。
So actually there are a number of projects from China, Los Angeles, Russia and even India that talks have developed in the past, some type of collaboration, and even over a long period of time. But unfortunately these have not come to fruition for various reasons.
You were going to do this film called The Outsider. I mean, you had Tom Moody in the film. What happened? I mean, was that film ever made by someone else or was it dropped completely? Do you know what happened? There's a film called The Outsider that he was supposed to direct with Tom Moody. Tom Hardy. Sorry, Tom Moody is a cricketer. Tom Hardy was going to play an American who joins becomes a samurai. So.
そうね、トム・ハーディがっていうマッドマックスやってものすごく人気が出たんで、ギャラが足らないっつってギャラが足らないって言って撮影の1ヶ月前にドタキャンしたんだよね、降りたんだよね。
So in the wake of Tom Hardy's fame with Mad Max and his subsequent rise in popularity, he suddenly decided to perform a last-minute cancellation.
でもまあそれはそうだなっていう。
It happens.
One last question.
Hello. Well, as an artist, what is your primary objective while you write and direct a scene which can be described as bizarre, eccentric, or violent? Is it mainly to keep the audience at the edge of their seats? Is it to deliver some message symbolically, or is it for your own catharsis?
What are the adjectives you use? Bizarre?
Eccentric and violent. What is the primary objective when you write and direct them?
Primary objective of a particular scene.
When doing a bizarre or eccentric sequence, is the idea to keep the audience on the edge of the seats, or is there a message that is trying to?
そうね、ただね、なんかすごく映画監督ってそういう作った観客に何を伝えるかっていうことが非常に、重要なことではあるんだけど、いざ撮影して始まってみるともう自分が楽しめるかどうかっていうことで精一杯ね、自分にとってこのシーンが驚きかどうかっていう。観客という大切なものまでなかなか行き着かない自分がでもやっぱりそうやって撮ったシーンが結構見てくれる人に心に届いたりする。やっぱり非常にそんな余裕があるわけじゃないので、だから基準としては自分が監督でありながら自分が一番最初の観客という同時に非常にピュアな観客としてそこにいて自分を楽しませようとしたっていうのはあります。
So as the director, I am very much shooting with the frame of how is it exciting me. So it's all about how I feel about it, and in a pure sense I try to look at it from the point of view of the audience as well, but it's mainly about how I and me as the audience would see it.
いや、観客に驚いてもらおうっていう中にはその思いの中には必ず自分が才能のある監督だっていうふうに思ってもらいたいっていう余分な欲望があるんですよ、きっと。観客を驚かそうっていうことは自分が才 才能ある人間だっていうふうに観客に伝えたい、それがテーマになってしまうともう映画作る意味がないでしょう。観客がどう思うが自分が面白いかどうかっていう、そこがやっぱり大事なところだと思います。
So I have to also think about how it would surprise the audience, and from their point of view, how they would experience it and how we could convey the theme of it.
That's all the time we have. I know we can carry on for 2 more hours, but there's another screening that's going to happen here. So, no, I mean, the last question was this one. So now we have to. No, there's the one question. So we decide who's going to ask.
There's a great development from Takashi Miike to the legendary filmmaker Takashi Miike. So at this point of your career, do you still believe in what is more fun? Is it low budget filmmaking or leisure filmmaking? What is more fun for you?
Low budget or
Leisure.
Those bigger ones. Low budget and the big commercial. What's more fun?
今なんかクリア
いや、もうどちらも同じですよ。でもやっぱり責任なく楽しめるっていうローバジェットにはこうなんかいけない悪い薬のような魅力はありますよね。でそれを最初に認めてもらったっていう事実を自分自身忘れてはいけないという。でそれで監督として少し揺れたからじゃあどんどんメジャーにっていう、要は一つ一つステップをメジャーに向かって上がっていくっていう考え方っていうのは間違っていると思います。メジャーなこともやってももっとそこでエネルギーを貯めてもっとインディーズなものを作るとかローバジェットでもっと何か作るとかっていう、そのためのメジャーっていうのは意味があると思います。
So in truth, both have their own particular types of charms, and it shouldn't really be thought of as having a step of going from one, i.e. the low budget, up to the major, because there's various things that can be enjoyed about both types of films. And even with the low budgets, in particular, there's certain things that we can do that we can't do with the majors.
メジャーになる前は必ずインディーズなわけだ。インディーズでしょ、マイナーでしょ、マイナーがあったから認められてメジャーになったので、メジャーになったらマイナーに戻らなければいけない。でまたメジャーもやってもいいし、基本はマイナーな映画を楽しむということを忘れてしまってはもう監督としてはダメだ。
If a director forgets the enjoyment of starting out with the independent, low-budget movies, then it's not a good thing. And it's very much a case of from doing the low-budget allows you to then step up and do more of the major types of movies. But one should never forget also doing the movies of the more independent, low-budget type.
So that's so we are ending the conversation here. Thank you for being a very responsive audience, and thank you for